Hello, do you feel trapped when you drive on highways and you hate it when there's no escape and the next exit is miles away and you start panicking? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain how you can fix this. Now, I've already done many videos, hundreds of them, explaining how you get driving anxiety, but I want to focus in this one on how to fix it. Check out the links in the description to other videos in this series about highways. So, when I work with people to help them overcome the fear of driving, the main thing you've got to do is find out what it really is. And the first and most important thing to know, as I mentioned in my other videos, it's not about driving. If you get obsessed with fixing the driving, holding the wheel differently, strategies and tips to drive better, you're completely missing the whole point. You're miles away from fixing it, because the point is, it's something else. You need to find what that something else is and fix that. That will then fix your driving. So let me give you an example. Somebody comes to me and they say, I've got this problem when I drive on highways. I get panic attacks, I need to escape, blah, blah. I don't let people talk about that because that isn't the issue. What you've got to do is find out what purpose is that fear serving. So if I ask you now, I'm going to be a mind reader. I want you to tell me, say it out loud if you want to the video, what purpose does your fear of driving at speed, fear of being trapped, what purpose does it have? What's it doing for you? You're going to have said, protection. I'm a mind reader. No, it's because I've worked with hundreds of people. They all say the same thing. It's protection. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you alive. It wants to protect you by stopping you from driving. But this is where many people go wrong. So it can be quite simple. It can be that maybe you feel trapped because at some other time in your life, you've also felt trapped. I have had this where I worked with somebody once who had a memory come up. I don't talk about clients much because it's private, privacy, whatever. But this person had a memory come up at the time they were locked in a cupboard and they felt trapped. And that has simply carried on into their adult life, and it means they felt trapped when they went driving. You see how that's got nothing to do with driving. Now that can happen, but that's quite a simple way that it can happen. And I wish it was that simple with every client. If it was just, when did you feel trapped in your life before? Oh, I got locked in a cupboard once. It isn't that simple, but it can happen that way. That's probably about 5% of people I work with. What happens more commonly is this. You need to work out when that feeling first entered your life. Now, everyone goes wrong here because everyone says, oh, it's when I was driving. No, it's not when you were driving. But it is, it's when I was driving. No, it's not when you were driving. And a good therapist will drag you away from the driving. It's not that. That's the first time you encountered it, when you were driving. You've had it before then. And everybody says, oh no, I haven't had it before then. I never had a panic attack driving before then. No, because it was something else. You've got to find, when did that feeling that you get when you drive exist elsewhere in your life before the driving, normally years, decades before. Now this is where you need to really know how to find these things, but sometimes if you get a good client is someone who can just work it out quite easily. They think, oh, you know what, actually, I do remember I had that years before. Oh, have you thought about this recently? Oh, no, they'll say, I haven't thought about this. I remember it was about 5 years before the driving. One of my family members was ill and I went into hospital, and I remember I had this weird panic. Oh, and when was that? When I was driving to the hospital. So you see, already they've contradicted themselves, because they said, well, I've never had panic in a car before. Now they've remembered when they have. But that isn't the problem. This is what you call chunking up, okay? Not chucking up as in vomiting or throwing up. Chunking up. Okay, I won't get into all this, but in therapy, you often get people to hold their hands like this, and you kind of get them to chunk up. I won't go into that in this video. Chunking up means finding the highest purpose for a symptom to exist. So, for example, and if you think this is getting complicated, well, yeah, everyone wants a quick, easy 5-second answer. There isn't one. This is how you do it. The problem you had driving wasn't because of the driving. You were maybe panicking because you were on the way to hospital to see someone. But that wasn't the problem either. Because the reason you were panicking is because when you were driving to a hospital to see someone and had a panic, it had reminded you of something else. So you may have had a memory come up without even knowing it of a time when a friend of yours fell off a ladder, for example, years ago. And without knowing it, they ended up in hospital and they died. So you're thinking of that memory because you're driving to hospital to see someone who died. But that isn't what's causing your feeling of being trapped on the motorway. The reason for that is because when you think of the person who died on the ladder, that was a friend of the family. And that friend of the family had once said something to you that stuck in your mind. So you see it goes back and back and back and back and back and back. And this is how you fix the fear of driving. And if people say, oh, it's too complicated, I'm just going to do exposure therapy, push through, fight the feeling, conquer your fear. Good luck with that, because it won't work. This is how you fix your fear of driving, because it's not the fear of driving. The feeling of being trapped can link in some ways. Yes, it could be that you were trapped in a cupboard as a child, and then you're trapped on the road as an adult. It can happen like that, but it's rare that there's such an obvious link. So that example I just gave you, what even was it? It was driving, you felt trapped. You thought of a time years before when you were going to visit someone in hospital. That was reminding you of a friend who'd fallen off a ladder, who'd told you something. We've had all 4 links. This can go back and back and back and back and back. And this can take hours and hours to find. And some people say, well, I just want it done in 5 minutes. If you're lucky, sometimes you can, because what you can use is a technique called the Watkins Affect Bridge. And what this is, the affect bridge is when you've got a problem here today, and you kind of draw a bridge and you land back in your past to find the event that caused it. So if you're lucky, what can happen is you can go into hypnosis, which is what you do when you think of your problem. You think, what caused this? And you land at the root cause. You go straight back to the original cause. But that won't fix it. Can you see how complicated this is? Right, I'm just showing you, this is when people say to me, just tell me how you do it. This is how you do it, right? You can go back and find the original root cause, but the problem won't go. Why? Because this root cause has grown over the years, and it's branched off and become this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and dozens of things. You need to find all of them. If you only get the root, sometimes finding the root does just fix it. But many times it won't, because it's become other things. And if you don't focus on all these other little things, it won't fix, because these little things grow back to the root. Now, if you're watching this thinking, what is all this about? I came here to watch a video on why I feel trapped on motorways, and you're talking about hypnosis and going back in your mind and finding things from the past. Those of you who have watched this far into the video are the ones who are going to succeed. If you've watched from the beginning and you're thinking, oh, so I've got to find that, then that, then that, then that, you'll do it. The people who won't do it are the ones who have already clicked off because I didn't tell them how to fix it in 5 seconds in the first 30 seconds of the video. It is not easy to fix this fear. It's easy to know what to do. It isn't easy to do it. And you may not even be able to find these memories. So what do you do then? Well, you've got to do other things to jog your memory. How do you know what's relevant and what's not? Experience. So can you do it for yourself? Well, yeah, you can. And I'll put links in the description to the free course I've got where you can do this yourself. But do you see why it's not easy? Sometimes it just made me laugh when people say, well, I listened to a video for 5 minutes and it didn't work. It doesn't work. Therapy doesn't work. Right, you've got to do all these things. Now, I do say you can fix it in under an hour, and you can. That's because if you were with me, I'll know what to do. And if you come up with memories that aren't relevant, I can guide you away thinking, no, that's not relevant. How do you know that? Go and spend years training in therapy to know what's relevant and what's not. I can't tell you everything in this relatively short video. It's probably going to be about 15 minutes long. But if you've got this feeling of being trapped on a motorway, you need to do this stuff, and you won't fix it unless you do. It doesn't have to be specific memories. You don't have to think, oh, I've thought of a friend on a ladder and going to hospital. Sometimes the memories can be feelings. Many times, like 99% of the time, I work with people online because I do one-to-one sessions online as well as my video courses. Many times people will say, pretty much every session I've ever done, people say, oh, I've got this feeling in my stomach, my chest, my hand, my leg. That's the memory. And this is what's so hard to get through to people. People email me after a session and say, but Paul, we didn't find a memory like you say in your videos. The feeling you had in your hand, chest, whatever, that's the memory. You don't have to consciously know what it was. It's not always a friend was on a ladder and he told me this and blah blah. It's feelings. You might cry. Your chest might feel warm. It might move to your arm. Your arm might feel like it's stiff in the air, and people start crying and shaking, and then it goes. And then we're just talking normally, and they have a massive outburst of emotion and they're crying tears, and then it goes. That's how the memories come out for some people. It's not just remembering them. So if you've watched through this video and you're thinking, this sounds confusing, it is. It is not easy to fix a feel like this. There's a lot of skill involved, but you can do it. It's all about finding what it really is. What does that problem really want? What's its highest purpose? When did it enter my life? And what does it want? Not now, not the driving. Well, most therapists focus on, it wants you to be safe. So tell yourself, I am safe, I can do it, I've got this. You're completely missing the point because you're working on what the problem has become, not what it was originally. You need to find what it was and release that. So that's why you feel trapped when you drive on the motorways. Check out my videos on the screen now to do one of my courses and fix it. And if you want to work with me one-to-one online from anywhere in the world, contact me through my website, firstdrive.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.